I don't really invite people. That's not really my style. Monkey Boy chooses to come here sometimes, and that's awesome. But you know, it's not really something I'm interested in to like try to convince him to come over here. He will if he wants to, and if he doesn't want to, he won't. Hey, Obelisk. Give me 1 second. Looks like we may have a first guest pretty early here. That's awesome. So just give me a second, and I can bring up the first person. Okay. That, and then we'll pin that. Okay. Hey, Daniel. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Well, maybe we won't have our first guest right away. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I got the Jason Voorhees shirt on today. Or one of my Jason Voorhees shirts, I should say. Hey, thanks, Nick. Well, apparently Zeke is not connecting. But hey, maybe the next person will. Or maybe Zeke will connect this time. Oh, sick. Yeah, Terrifier's great.
All right, is that better?
Yeah, hi, Zeke. How old are you?
25.
All right, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
Okay.
Prefer, yeah.
All right, and then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Yeah, I think the best evidence is the first cause the first cause argument that the first cause must have been something that had some sort of intelligence or conscience behind it, compared to something that doesn't, just based off of logic and how we can deduct things.
Well, what would make us think that there's a first cause?
Well, I mean, everybody believes in some sort of first cause. Like, I'm not saying
No.
the first
Nope.
Well, yeah, everybody does.
No. No.
You do.
No, I
Everybody
don't.
does.
Nope. So why should we think that there's a first cause? You can't
Wait,
just
so
say because you think everybody believes in it, then it must be real. I'm asking, what is the reason to believe in it? Because I certainly don't believe in it, and as far as I know, there are others who don't also.
Well, whether or not the universe is eternal or there was nothing, there would have been some sort of first cause. Either way you look at it, there's
Why would there have to
there's
be a first cause?
no matter what.
Why does there have to be a first cause? Give the
first
argument.
cause isn't my. Well, again, whatever you believe.
So why does there have to be a first cause? Give the argument.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so what's the argument that there has to be a first cause?
Yeah, that there, because any worldview that you have or any view that you have of creation, there's always going to be a first cause.
No, that's just restating the claim again. That's the claim that you're supposed to be giving an argument for.
This guy's retarded and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to have to do death by mod and say slurs just so that I'll kick you so that you can save a little bit of face because you don't have an argument. Oh, there has to be a first cause because there has to be a first cause. Oh my God, why didn't I think of that? What a ridiculous argument. But yeah, I mean, saying slurs is a really good way to get yourself kicked. So I guess like that's like the ripcord, I guess, if you need like an easy out if you know you're losing. So I guess that's a cheat code for everybody. Poopman Jones, what are you talking about Wikipedia? What in the world? Did I miss something? Thank you for the support right away, guys. That's awesome. Nick, Lem, Poopman Jones, love to see it. Thank you so much. KC, Nick, what in the world is this? Ooh, God's 30 foot. Peanuts. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I that's my bad, Poop Man Joe's, for like reading the comments randomly, and obviously there's conversations going on that I'm not watching. So, if you're hey, that looked like more fun than I've had on a Thursday in a very long time. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Big Bird. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
The Christian God, Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
The rational justification, I would say, is, well, I couldn't really tell what y'all were talking about earlier, but it just sounded like, I'm not sure what God he believed in.
Well, that doesn't matter. I'm just asking you for the argument for your God. It doesn't matter what somebody else believes in.
Well, he pointed out that there has to be a cause. The cause would be what is life itself? So, do you mean by like the Big Bang Theory?
No, I don't know what that idiot was talking about. He didn't know what he was talking about, so it's completely irrelevant what he was talking about. I'm asking you, what is the best argument or evidence for God?
My biggest argument for God is just a father-like love. Hold on, excuse me 1 second.
What? A father-like love?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, in Christianity, God created Adam and Eve.
Yeah, but why should we think that God exists? God can't create anything if he doesn't exist. So what's the reason to think that he exists?
Okay. The reason he can create anything is because...
No, he has to exist in order to be able to create anything. What's the reason to think that he exists?
What's the reason to think he exists?
Yeah.
Like, could you put it in context? Like, the reason to think he exists, like, just from nothing?
What? I don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you, is there a reason to think that it's true that God exists?
Yes, I do believe it's true that God exists.
No, I'm not asking you what you believe. I'm asking, what is the reason to think that it's true that God exists?
The reason to think it's true that God exists is that we are here now. There has to be a creator for us to live in this.
No, that's just an assumption. Why should we think that there has to be a creator?
Well, everything down to our smallest molecules, we come from atoms, and atoms aren't technically living cells, but they have an atomic charge.
Okay, why should we think that there's a God, Bird? Like, you're not on, like, I don't know what questions you think I'm asking, but I want you, or like what questions you wish I was asking, but I want you to focus on the question that I'm actually asking you, the words that are leaving my mouth, and then I want your response to be a response to the question that I'm asking you, not some other stuff that you think is related. Okay, does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand.
Do you understand what the structure is supposed to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is one reason to think that it's true that God exists? Not why you want it to be true, not why you think it's a good idea to believe that it's true or that it's beneficial or helpful. Why should we actually think that it's true?
The reason I believe is all throughout the history, we have been given evidence through church fathers.
Okay, just saying that there's evidence is not a reason for anyone to believe. If I tell you that there's evidence that there's no God, is that going to convince you to stop believing in God?
Well, no, that's actually a very good point.
Right, because I would have to actually give you the evidence in a way that's compelling to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. However, so that's what I'm asking you to do. Telling me that evidence exists is not compelling to me, and it doesn't present me with any evidence. So I'll ask one last time. What is one reason to think that it's true that God exists?
Well, you have me stumped there, sir.
Okay. Well, I recommend that you spend some time thinking about this and whether or not you want to believe in things that you can't think of a single reason to believe in. But I appreciate the conversation. Have a good one. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. That was fucking awesome. Thanks, Casey. Now I believe in leprechauns, obviously. I just saw one on my own fucking head. All right. The leprechaun was fucking great. Hi, Andrew. How old are you?
I am 20 years old.
Cool. And what God do you believe in?
I don't really, can I say like not a religion?
Yeah, I'm just asking you for like maybe the qualities of the God you believe in.
I don't think it's something that we can put physically.
I didn't ask that.
Qualities.
I didn't ask the qualities it doesn't have.
Okay. Well,
This is not a difficult question. If you can't even tell me what kind of God you believe in, then clearly we're not going to be able to have this
yeah, okay.
conversation.
The internal, I guess, like essentially, I believe that God is love.
Okay, well, I believe in the existence of love, but I don't believe in a God. So,
Okay.
Are you just naming an emotion God? Like, because that
No,
seems pretty
no.
stupid to me.
I agree 100%.
Okay, so then
And
I'm going to ask this question one last time. If you can't give me a direct, unambiguous answer, I'm just going to move on. What God do you believe in? What version of God do you believe in?
love.
Okay. Well, we just discussed how that's ambiguous and doesn't tell me anything, and then you said it again. So, all right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay. Sorry. I get notifications on my phone and then I assume it's something crazy's happened because I rarely get notifications. Nobody that I'm not expecting to get a hold of me gets a hold of me very often. So because I'm unpopular and everybody hates me, as all the trolls will let you know. But yeah, hopefully we can have an adult or a conversation with an adult who can actually present arguments or evidence for their position. Okay. Hi, Tex. How old are you?
Yeah, John. Oh, hey, I'm sorry, 51 years old. How are
Okay.
you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And
I'm an old guy.
well, I mean, you're not that much older than me. I'm 40 myself.
Okay.
Can you do
Okay.
anything
Sorry,
about all
I'm
the
running.
background noise?
Yes, I'm actually in Sam's. I'm shopping, but I was watching it and I thought I'd jump in.
Well, what God do
Um,
you believe in?
I believe in the God of the Bible.
So I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yes, sir, the Christian Bible. Yes.
Uh-huh. And then what's the reason to believe in God?
Okay, so you're asking the question, and I don't think you've gotten a good answer, at least in the last 15 minutes since I've been listening. I think they started with a good point, but they weren't able to actually get to the crux of it. So I would have to say that the initial version is creation is the best evidence for why God exists.
Why should we
Well,
believe that the
let me
universe was
rephrase that.
created?
Well, because I think you're a pretty smart guy, and I think that there is zero evidence that anything happens by accident.
That
That
wasn't
anything
an
just
answer to my
comes out.
question. Why should we think that the universe was created?
Well, because it's like you're brilliant. Your body's perfectly created. There's trees. There's all
Okay, so
these
you think
things
that my
show
body is
evidence.
perfect?
Yeah, absolutely. Is
Okay.
it functioning? Are
So
you
the
able to
fact that
talk, think?
So the fact that sometimes crazy things can happen, like blood clots can cause strokes or aneurysms or
Yeah,
death, like that's
absolutely.
perfect. That
Yeah,
couldn't be any better.
I didn't say that.
Okay, so you
Designed
think that
perfectly.
something can both
Designed
be
perfectly.
so you think something can both be perfect and have the potential to be better?
Yeah. Have you ever been married?
Okay, so do you think that perfection
I'm asking a
entails?
question.
Do you think that
No.
perfection includes a potential to be better?
Yeah.
Okay, so is God
Absolutely.
perfect?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that God could be better, right?
Not mutually exclusive.
No, you said that
Perfection.
perfection entails the possibility to be better. God is perfect,
Mhm.
therefore God could be better.
Okay, but you're on a different argument than I was talking about.
No, I'm not
So
on a different
are
argument.
you
I'm
inside
just
of a
showing you an entailment of the stupid thing that you said. You said that perfection entails the potential to be better. So that means God has
Mhm.
the potential to be better, right?
No.
Okay, well, now you're just contradicting yourself. So you have two options. You can, well,
I'm
three
not.
options, I guess. The three options that you have are to resolve the contradiction by rejecting one piece of the contradiction.
Okay, but you're totally off what I was talking about.
I don't care. We found a
Where are you
contradiction in your
filming?
view, and you need to resolve it, or
Where?
we can't move on.
But that's a minor
So you're
contradiction. Here's
no,
my
it's not a
question.
minor
Where are you?
contradiction. Every contradiction is major. If there's a contradiction in your view, then your view is wrong. End of story. So your options
That's not true.
are to either resolve the contradiction, to accept the contradiction, which means you're rejecting logic, and I'll just move on to the next person, or you
Why are
could
we
tuck
yelling?
tail and run away.
Why are we yelling?
Yeah, I'm not
Why am
yelling.
I'm not
I'm
tucking
just
tail.
asking you to do one
So
of those three
here's my
things.
question.
So you have those three options in front of you.
Okay.
If you do anything other than demonstrating that you're if you do anything other than rejecting the contradiction and fixing it, then I will just take it
No.
as a
Hold on.
concession that you know that your view is
You didn't
illogical.
You didn't ask for a full definition of who God was. You just asked for
No,
his
I asked
existence.
you for
I'm
I
telling
asked.
you, if you're filming,
Okay, well,
where are you filming?
There you
Are
go. Fair enough. Like I said, if you can't reject the contradiction and fix it, then you're accepting it, which means you're rejecting logic, which means there's no way to have a reasonable conversation with you. All right. Whoa. Perfection entails the potential to be better. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I want to figure out here. Really? Interesting. Pull anyone. I have no idea what you're talking about, Daniel. Begging in the chat will get you skipped, just so you know. Hi, woman, how old are you?
I was born in 08.
Yeah, you're a child. I'm pretty sure that person came up before, and that's, like, clearly a child. Okay. Yeah, just saying that you're 18 doesn't mean that you're... no, I remember that person now. They came up, like, yesterday or the day before and said that they were... like 20 and born in 2002. Anyway, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. That's what it was, Luna. They said they were 20, born in 2003. I'm sorry that you think I'm being aggressive. I'm just trying to keep people on topic. I'm not going to let people run away from the topic. It's just not ever going to happen. If you don't like it that I try to keep people on topic, then you don't have to be here. I am not doing anything to keep anyone here. So, your call. Hi, Dusty. How old are you?
Am I on?
You are. Yeah, that's why you had to accept the request, the being added.
Okay.
How old are
I'm
you?
35.
Okay,
I'm
and
35. Born 91.
okay, what God do you believe in?
I believe in more of a panentheistic God, where kind of God is everything. I know that's probably not the
Well,
God you're trying to...
in what way is God beyond the universe?
Beyond the universe? That's a
Well, that's what panentheism is.
Is it?
Yes. Yep. pantheism is God is identical to like the whole of the universe. Panentheism is that the whole universe is God, but it's only like a part of God or whatever. It doesn't. There's more of God than just the universe. So, are you a pantheist or a panentheist?
Pantheist.
Okay.
Probably. I'm not too caught up on definitions, honestly.
No worries. Yeah, that's fine. It took me a long time to remember the difference between those.
Something forth that's probably a little bit different because
Well-
I work in healthcare.
Well, my issue here, Dusty, here's my issue, is that if you're a pantheist and you think that the universe is God, then all we're doing is we're just having like a semantic dispute about the meanings of words. Because when I'm talking about God, I'm talking about like a personal ultimate foundation to reality that is separate from the universe. If you're saying that you're just calling the universe God, that's fine, but it's not really like, it would just be tone policing for us to sit here and say, no, you shouldn't use God that way, and no, you shouldn't use God the way you use it, you should use God the way I do, and that's just not an interesting conversation.
That's fair.
All right, but I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good one, and if you're in healthcare, you're doing great work.
No, can I bring my evidence or whatever you would?
Well, it's not going to be evidence for the kind of thing that I'm looking to talk about here, so I am going to go ahead and move on, but I appreciate you. So we'll change this to pantheist. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Sigma. How old are you?
I am 18.
No, you are not. Absolutely, you are not. Not at all. All right. Spinoza's God is like the demiurge kind of, which is essentially just like, I don't know, saying there's like a natural force that produced the universe, something along those lines. Spinoza's God? You're saying Spinoza's God is different from the demiurge? Is the one infinite. Oh, okay. No, you're right. Oh, okay. So yeah, so Spinoza's God is basically just pantheism. Yeah. Okay. So Spinoza's God is just pantheism. It just is the universe. No, you were right, Jaden. Yeah, exactly, Woods. Yep, you're correct. Yep. Okay. Well, Deathless, just like I tell everybody else, begging in the chat to be let up gets you skipped. So you're not next, and then when it is your turn, you will get skipped. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Automatic. How old are you?
40.
I'm sorry, you said 40?
Yes.
Okay, are you able to get like any closer to the mic?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's way better.
Can
Yep.
you hear me?
Yep. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God in the Bible.
Okay, I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yeah, the gospel, yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, I believe there is a spirit. And Jesus defined what a spirit is that you can he said the spirit is like the wind. You cannot see it, but you can hear it.
Okay, I don't really, this doesn't help me.
And
What's the argument or evidence that God actually exists, not just defining what God is?
No, I was just giving you just the part what a spirit is.
Yeah, I don't want any of
Something
that.
we cannot
Please
see
stop.
with your...
Yep, please stop doing that. Just give me the argument or evidence that God
Well,
exists.
That there is a spirit because I believe in spirit because I felt peace by myself alone in the room by myself.
Okay,
But
well,
I
that
never
doesn't
seen
mean
peace,
anything
but
to
I felt
anybody.
peace.
What's the reason to believe in God?
Because I believe there's a spirit that we cannot see.
Yes, I know that you believe that there's a spirit. That doesn't help me. I'm going to ask one last time. What's some argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe that God exists?
That everything starts in the spirit before we create it into our reality.
Yeah, that's the claim. What's the argument or evidence for that claim?
Yourself, you felt peace before and alone in a room, right?
So you don't have any argument or evidence?
No, have you ever been inspired to do something?
Fair enough. All right. Once again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Z, how old are you?
18.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
I'm Christian.
Okay, and then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Okay, first I want to set off and say that this is like 100% respectful. I don't think that you need evidence to believe in a God because
okay, well, I don't really care what you think. I'm asking for the argument or evidence. So what's the argument or evidence for God?
Because it's a faith-based religion. I can't prove my faith.
Fair enough. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. No, I'm not going. This is not a place for people to preach. This is not a place for people to, this is not a therapy session. This is a place to have debates about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. If people cannot engage in that topic, then they don't have any reason to be here. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here either. That's simple. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Real. How old are you?
I'm 19.
All right. And what God do you believe in?
The Christian God.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
Well, I'd like to say I really love the way that you're phrasing that. Justification to believe in God and not just saying believe in God, because there really is going to be no way to...
I don't really need the meta. I'm just asking for the argument or evidence, please.
For sure. My argument would be the existence of Jesus Christ.
Okay, well, I mean, even if, number one, I don't think there's good enough evidence to conclude that Jesus actually existed. Number two, even if I grant that Jesus existed, I don't see how that could possibly get us to God, because I'm sure that you would grant that there are lots of people who existed who made supernatural claims or claims to be God or have direct connections to God, and you don't believe any of them other than Jesus.
Yeah.
So what that means is that someone simply existing and making a claim to divinity is not enough reason to believe in the God that they claim exists. So obviously, that applies to Jesus. So since we know that Jesus' mere existence can't get us to God, what would?
That's the obvious logic to go around it, but I would say the amount of witnesses there are to Jesus Christ pulling off miracles. And
where can I read some eyewitness testimony?
Simon Peter, John the Apostle, I believe.
No, where can I read eyewitness testimony?
You could just look these names up. These are all.
So where can I read the eyewitness testimony?
I'll look it up. Like I said,
yeah, what would I look for that would give me eyewitness testimony?
You just look up their names.
No, I don't want to look up the name John. That's going to return a lot of stuff. So where should I look to find the eyewitness testimony?
Look up the name Simon Peter.
Yeah, it's also going to bring back a lot of stuff. So what specifically should I look for to find their eyewitness testimony about the miracles that Jesus performed?
Like I said, their names. Like I said.
Okay, so you don't know the actual name of a document that has their eyewitness testimony?
I will admit I do not know directly where you would be able to go find it.
Okay, so do you know if such a thing even exists?
What did you say?
Do you know if such a thing even exists?
Yeah, because it's been overwhelmingly studied.
Oh, who has studied it?
Multiple historians.
Yeah, name one person who has studied this.
I won't be able to. I mean, I could look them up. For sure.
Okay, so we have their eyewitness testimony. You just have no idea what documents they're in, but you know they exist because people have studied it. You just can't name a single person who's ever studied it, right?
I couldn't.
Am I understanding that correctly?
If you are understanding this
correctly. Okay, fantastic. So obviously this is not a line of reasoning that's going to get us to God. What would be a way that we could find a reason to believe in God?
Well, I mean, if you were to give me the time to look it up, I'd be able to come up with these names for you.
Yeah, you
Admittedly, I
probably
should've
shouldn't
came here more
request. Yeah,
prepared.
exactly. You probably shouldn't request to get into a
Admittedly.
debate if you don't have the support for your position. So, do you have any reason that you can present in the form of an argument or some kind of evidence to believe in God?
You know what? You're correct. That was my argument, and you disbottled it. Have a good day, sir.
All right. I hope you have a good one as well. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah.
John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his
All right. Well, we're not doing preaching. Hey, Vega, how old are you?
20.
That's fucking... I'm so sorry. That Pharaoh mess makes me laugh so much. I apologize.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God, but I'm like open to like loosely, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
You say that.
Yeah. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
This is like really simple, but I would say that because the universe exists when it doesn't have to, and we all exist when we don't have to, so it must.
How do you know the universe doesn't have to exist?
Well, why do you think it has to exist?
That's a burden shift. How do you know the universe doesn't have to exist?
I don't know. Well,
okay. Well, so if
what
it's
is it?
possible, if it's possible that the universe has to exist, then clearly we don't need a God to explain it, right?
I mean, we don't need a God to explain about.
Okay.
What
So that's not a
other-
reason to believe in God. What would be a reason to believe in God?
Because why else would we be here? Like, what are?
I mean, that's just a question. It sounds like you're giving an argument from incredulity. I don't know the answer, therefore I'm just going to plug in God.
I'm trying to. You're saying God isn't real. I'm trying to disprove that.
Yeah.
You're saying
Right,
God
but you're
isn't
not.
real.
But you're not doing
How
a good
can you-
job because
I'm
you're
saying-
not giving a
I'm saying, how
reason to
can-
believe in God.
I'm saying, how can you confidently say God isn't real when I can't confidently say that He is real?
Okay, so are you saying that you don't have any argument or evidence that you want me to give an argument?
This is my argument. I'm saying
I haven't heard an argument yet. All I've heard is incredulity and question begging.
Because you can't prove something isn't real if it can't be proven if it's real or not. It's kind of like,
Yeah, that's just assuming that it
This
can't be
isn't- I'm
proven.
saying you're
That's
trying-
just
you're
assuming, again, this is more question begging. You're just assuming it can't be proven, and then based on that assumption, asserting that it can't be proven. But that's not how that's not how demonstrating anything works. So are you, like, instead of just asserting what you think I can or cannot do, what you're supposed to be doing is giving some argument or evidence, but I've offered that I can give an argument that God doesn't exist.
and I'm asking you to think in the way that
No, I'm not answering like these questions about like things that you just don't understand. I'm saying either you should be presenting an argument or evidence, or I will. Which do you prefer?
well, I'm just coming up here because you're asking for, like, I was trying to see if you could
Okay, I'm going to
prove
ask the
to me-
question one more time. Either you should be presenting an argument or evidence, or I'll do it. Which do you prefer?
I mean, I kind of was trying to do my argument.
Okay, well, I haven't
But
heard
I'm saying
anything
my
from you
argu-
that is
my
any kind of
my
argument.
argument is that you can't prove God isn't
No, that's
real.
not an argument. That's an assertion. How would you demonstrate that?
Because, well, I'm trying to, I know you're trying to, like, get me in, like, back me in a corner.
No,
but
I'm not trying to
actually
back you into a
asking-
corner. I'm trying to get you to actually engage in the topic.
It's
You
because
haven't done it
can't
yet.
It's because you can't prove that God isn't real.
How many times have I already offered to give you the argument that God doesn't exist, and you refuse to let me do it? Instead, you just want to keep making assertions.
I straight up asked you.
No, okay. I'll ask you again.
People in the
Do
chat
you-
are agreeing with me too. I straight up asked you to prove that multiple times, and you pivoted.
I didn't pivot. I literally asked you, do you want to give an argument or evidence? If not, I will. Which do you prefer? I said that so many times.
I said, tell me why you think that.
No,
Which is
you
me saying,
did not,
tell me
but
your argument.
fantastic. We'll pretend
I
that you're
didn't
not
use-
lying your ass off.
I didn't
So,
use the exact same words, but yes, give me your argument. That's
Gee,
what I've been asking. And
you
I think
haven't.
People in the chat can
No,
back me up,
you
'cause
you
that's what I
haven't.
said.
You haven't. You know this is all being recorded, right? And streamed to YouTube, so everybody can go watch the replay where you didn't
yeah,
do
that's
that.
fine. I was asking for.
All right. So, what argument do I want to give? You know, I probably should decide that ahead of time. Do you think? Because you said that the universe could have failed to exist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you agree. Premise one of my argument is that the universe is contingent, which you agree with. That just means it could have failed to exist. So you agree with that, correct?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So premise two would be that if the universe is contingent, and it could have failed to be, then God's act of creation could have failed to be, right?
What do you mean by that?
Like God didn't have to create the universe. He could have chosen not to.
I guess so.
Okay. And then my third premise here is going to be that God does not have parts. Do you agree?
What do you mean by that?
That he's not composed of anything. He just is God, and that's it.
Honestly, I'm not really sure. Like,
That's fair.
Because I'm honestly not really sure.
Yeah, that's fair. I can give an argument for that. So the argument for that would be that if God exists, God is ultimate, which means that he's the cause of all things that are not himself. If God has parts, then those parts are not himself. Like, for example, my arm is not me. It's a part of me. My leg is not me. My foot is not me. My heart is not me. They're all parts of me, right? So if God has parts, those parts are not himself. But a thing cannot be the creator of all of its parts, right? Because if it was the creator of all of its parts, then it would have had to exist before it existed to create the parts that it's made out of.
So you're saying, like, if God exists, what created God?
No. I'm saying that in order for God to have parts, he would have to be the creator of those parts, but he wouldn't be able to create the parts that make him up, because if those parts didn't exist, he wouldn't have existed. So the only way for him to actually be God and be ultimate and not have to have a logical contradiction of having created his own parts, that means that he can't have parts. Does that make sense?
I think I'm getting what you're saying.
Okay. So to go back to the argument that I was giving, that was the third premise, that God does not have parts. Premise four is just going to be that if God does not have parts, then God's existence is identical to his act of creation. Because that's what it means to not have parts, is that you're identical with all aspects of yourself. So does that make sense? Part of not having parts means that he's
honest, it doesn't really make sense to me.
Okay. So if God was not identical to his action, then that means that that act would be a part of him. But we already just went through why it's not possible for God to have parts.
Well, what, like, in your example, what would be like a part of God?
Yeah, like
I feel like I'm not like fully like following what you're saying.
Right. So like if his knowledge was separate from his love, which was separate from his will, those would all be parts of God. Or like if his action was separate from his will or his intention, those would all be parts of God. But if the God has parts, and he's the creator of all things that are not himself, since those parts would have to not themselves be God, that would mean that he would have had to have created all of those parts. And if he didn't create all those parts, but he does have them, then he's not ultimate, which means that he no longer fits the definition of a God. So the only way for God to be God is if he doesn't have parts.
Are those parts or like characteristics of...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They can be characteristics, or like, sometimes people want to say like distinctions but not parts. They can be that, but they have to it has to kind of be like an analogy, and they have to all be identical to each other so that they're all just God. God has to be his love. He has to be his knowledge. He has to be his actions. Otherwise he has parts. And again, we would go back to the argument that if he has parts, then he would have had to have created himself before he existed.
So are you saying, because I asked this earlier and I wasn't sure what you meant, like what created God, or like he had to...
No, I'm saying that if God has parts, he would have had to have created himself.
So, okay.
But something can't create itself, because that means it would have to exist when it doesn't exist, right? Because you can't create something unless you exist. But if the thing you're creating is yourself, you have to exist to create yourself, which means you existed prior to your own existence. Okay. So God cannot exist in a state of existence where God doesn't exist. So if God has always existed and is ultimate, that means that he must be simple and doesn't have parts.
Okay.
And so one of the consequences of God not having parts is that he's identical to his actions. And one of his actions would have been his intentional act of creating the universe, which means that if God doesn't have parts, he's identical to that action.
Okay.
Okay. And if he's identical to that action, and we already said earlier that his act of creating the universe is contingent, then that means that he himself, his existence, is contingent. Since his act of creation could have failed to exist, and he's identical to his act of creation, that means that he could have failed to exist. However, if God exists, then he is necessary. The only way that it's possible for God to exist is if he couldn't have failed to exist. But since we've just found out, because he doesn't have parts, it's not possible for him to exist without parts, and it's not possible for the universe to be contingent without God being contingent, that means that either the universe is necessary and couldn't have failed to exist, or God doesn't exist.
And do you think the universe is necessary, or?
Well, my position is that the universe is necessary and God doesn't exist. I'm just saying, from your perspective, if you take the position that the universe is contingent, that it could have failed to exist, then the logical entailment of that is that God can't exist, because God would have to be contingent as well. But if he's contingent, then he's not God. He doesn't. So that means God doesn't exist.
But then, see, I would turn around and just be like, well, why does the universe exist then? Like, I would just turn around and say
that's not a response to the argument, though. Are you agreeing that God doesn't exist?
Well, that's the problem. That's what my point was initially, is you can't really argue this. You
can argue it. I just did argue it, and then we can see that it's successful because you're
no,
not
because
able to respond.
No, because you can't make a definitive.
I just did. I just did it. I just did it right in front of your face, and you know why I know, Vega. You know why I know that I was successful? Because if I had failed to give a good argument, you would be tearing it apart. You'd be responding to it and showing the problem with it.
Well,
the fact that you're
that's
trying
my
to
point.
run away from it tells us all
I'm not
that
trying
you
to run
know
away
that
from
it worked. Okay, so if you're not running away
that's
from
my
it, then
point,
respond to the
is
argument.
What?
If you're not running away from my argument, then respond directly to the argument.
No, you don't understand. That's my point. I'm saying this isn't.
If you
really
aren't running away from the argument, then respond directly to the argument.
How would I respond to that? You just gave like a philosophical, like, that's not really something you can respond to. I'm saying.
What do you mean it's not something you can respond to? I respond to philosophical arguments all the time, every day. I read and respond to philosophical arguments probably every single day. So yes, that is absolutely something that everyone can do. And it's certainly something that you can do. So I'm going to give you one more opportunity to respond to the argument. If you try to run away from it again, then we all know what that means.
Okay, I'll be honest. I think maybe I just wasn't getting what you were saying. That might be it, because I don't know if I'm fully understanding your argument, because it's not making sense to me, really.
Well, I went through each point line by line with you. Made sure that you agreed with them. When you didn't understand, I explained it until you said you did understand. And so now if we're getting to the end and you're saying after giving your assent to every step of the
It's
argument.
because we're thinking in two completely different ways, and you're not understanding my way of thinking, and maybe I'm not understanding your way of thinking. I'm thinking of this in a way that it's like it's not something we can hold in our hands and grasp. This is.
I didn't say anything about being able to hold. Okay, so this one last time, Vega.
Okay,
this is not responsive. This is not. I'm not going to let you just run off on a tangent into fairyland, right? Either you're going to respond to the substance because you couldn't give an argument for God, so I gave one against God. Now it's your responsibility in this dialectic to respond to the argument. If you can't do that, then we're done.
Okay, then we can be done then.
All right. I hope you have a good one. Thanks for coming up. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I have no idea what this name is. Maybe they won't even connect and I won't have to worry about it. Oh, they connected. Hi, Uni. How old are you?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Cool. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Jesus King, bro.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
I think best evidence we have is the numbers of believers that believe in some kind of entity, God.
Okay, so you're saying if a lot of people believe something, or if enough people believe something, then it must be true?
Not only that, the years.
Is that
the
what you're
years would
saying?
count.
Yes or no?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
And
So what's the number of
if
people that have to believe in something for it to become true?
we think about it, we're
What's
on
the number of
2000.
people that has to believe in something for it to become true?
What's the number?
Yeah.
All the numbers.
Yeah,
Can we
what's
put all the
what's the
numbers?
number of people who have to believe in something for it to become true?
All the numbers, bro. All.
Okay, so you're just not going to respond. I'm going to ask one more time, and if your response is anything other than a number, I'm just going to move on. What is, or I guess your response could be a retraction of the stupid claim that you made. So what's the number of people that have to believe something before it becomes real?
Like I said, bro, if we count all the religions that believe in.
Fair enough. All right. If you are in the guest queue, please make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Jerome. How old are you?
61.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I don't even know, to tell you the truth. I started out as a Christian, okay? I came up as a Christian.
I'm just asking you to answer the question. I don't need your life story.
That's why I like you. That's why I sent you a follow too. I like how you do that.
Okay, well, I don't need the glazing either.
I understand. I don't know how to even say. I believe in a God. I believe in a creator.
Okay, so not a specific one, but you believe in a God.
Right, and that's what I was agreeing with your premises.
Okay.
It was awesome. Your premises was awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. What would you say is the best argument or evidence for God?
My vision.
And why would your vision give us reason to believe in God?
Because I knew that I couldn't do it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What I'm saying, creation. When I look at creation, when I see the universe, when I see all the things that are made.
When I see the universe, I see something that was not created. So clearly we're seeing different things. Why should I agree with you that it was created?
Well, you don't have to agree with me. That's
So I'm asking what the reason would be to agree with you.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know how to say it, man. It's not like.
Look, this is you said that you love this about me, but you're going to feel the wrath.
Right.
The thing is, I need you to stay on topic and actually engage with the question that I'm asking you. And the question I'm asking you is specifically, what is a reason to believe in God? Also, can you do anything about the echo, please?
Okay, hold up. How about this? You know what? This is an air conditioner. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's the echo. No, I can hear myself.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I bet y'all know what I could do. I'm sorry, 1 second. You just turn the speaker off. Power on. Is that better?
Let me see. Yeah, that's
How about now?
Yep, that's fantastic.
Okay, so yeah.
So what would be one reason to believe in God?
Your vision.
Okay, why should I think that my vision gives me a reason to believe in God?
Because that's how you see that.
I understand that my vision is how I see. Why should I think that gives me a reason to believe in God?
Well, maybe that's something that's subjective to you, though, right?
Well, as far as I can tell, my vision doesn't give me a reason to believe in God. You're saying that it should, and I'm asking, how does that work? What's the connection?
Well, were you able to do that? Or were you able to create yourself?
No, my mom created me in her womb after, unfortunately, having sex with my dad. I don't like to think about it, but it did happen. So that's why I exist, why I have eyes and a heart and a liver and whatever. So I don't see the connection to God. Either you can draw it or you can't.
Well, I'm just saying, I never seen anything that created itself or
I'm not saying I didn't say that I created myself, and I don't need need to have created myself for God not to exist. So I'm still not seeing the connection. So I'm going to give you one last opportunity. How does this get me to a reason to believe in God?
Because of the premises that you said. You gave a premise. Right?
Okay, that is not responsive, Jerome. I appreciate you, but we're not making any progress, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. We're literally sitting on the starting blocks, going nowhere. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, actually, before I say all that, thank you so much, everybody, for the support. You guys fucking rule. Holy shit, it looks like there's a bunch. thank you, KC. Colette Alexandria, Poopman Jones, Decon Blue, Mikey, thank you so much. Roger, Meta Morgan, Poopman Jones, Lem, what is this? Radio Spencer, JJ, Poopman Jones, Radio Spencer, Josie, what is this? Handsome Voodoo Zombie, and whoa, based on the profile picture, handsome indeed. Holy shit. It's a good looking dude. Silence Moon, Casey, thank you so much. What is this? Accidentally Atheist. Well, that's an interesting one. Goblin Brain, thank you, Fen. Stardust, Liz Biz, awesome to see you here, Liz. Radio Spencer, thank you, Lem, both sides, HS. Oh shit, more from Liz. Thank you so much, Liz. You rule. You know I love you. Eddie, thank you. Zoe Music, Lily Girl, Cyber G Construction, thank you so much. Liz again, HS, Lily Girl, I love you all. Thank you so much. HS, you guys fucking rule. I sincerely appreciate it. Now, all right. Enough of making me glaze you all. We'll move on to the next person. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I love you too, Liz. You're the best. You guys are all awesome. I love so many of you. Apparently Don Johnson is not going to come up. Figured we were going to talk about, because that's the actor's name, right? Don Johnson, isn't that the guy from fucking Nash Bridges? My dad used to watch Nash Bridges when I was younger, so it makes me think of. Miami Vice, yeah, but I mean, I watched Nash Bridges. I didn't really watch Miami Vice. You calling me youngster? That's hilarious. Let me double check here. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Oh, Eunice to the F up. Fuck yeah, Poopman Jones. Hi, nobody. How old are you?
35.
Okay, and are you still Christian?
Am I still a Christian?
Yeah.
I've always been a Christian.
Yeah, I'm just asking if you are still one. Sounds like the answer is yes. Do you have anything of substance this time?
Well, I had substance last time. And
No, you just tried to read my mind.
Well, I mean, that's what consciousness does, right?
No.
That's what psychology does, right? Yeah,
No, it's not.
It does.
So do you have
It's
any
literally
argument or
what it
evidence for God? Or do you just want to
Yeah.
like get bogged down in meta?
I literally just did. I said argument from consciousness. Listening comprehension, not your strong suit, not over.
You didn't give an argument. What's the argument?
Okay, so natural processes versus, I guess you call it God consciousness. Let's talk about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you just give the argument, please?
Well, it versus the two, natural or
Just give the argument,
theology.
please.
Okay, so through a subjective experience or an objective experience. So which one is naturalistic, one which is not naturalistic? So my position is that God, it comes from God. If you're going to argue for consciousness, then you got to argue against it. Because my position is the believer.
Okay, so what's the argument for God?
Well,
I don't know why you're rambling about all this nonsense. Just give me the argument for God.
Okay, so consciousness exists, therefore God.
Okay,
That's the argument.
Yeah, so I need you to draw the connection. What's the argument that consciousness demonstrates God?
If we are created in the likeness of God, that means you said earlier parts, right? So that means, which is going to go through the whole example of parts within itself. That goes with the arms, legs.
So do you have an argument at all? Or is this just like...
Are you going to respond to the argument?
As soon as I hear one, I would love to respond. Absolutely. Just give me the argument and then I'll respond.
We're created by God.
That's the claim. Yeah, no, that's the claim. What's the argument for that claim? Yeah. How does consciousness... So what I need you to do is get from consciousness to God existing, right?
Yes, through self-awareness, reasoning, rational thought.
Yeah, so just give the argument, nobody. Just give the argument. You don't need to list stuff. No, you did.
Argue against what I gave you.
Oh, the only argument I need to give is actually I don't need to give an argument because you haven't given an argument. So there's nothing for me to respond to. Oh, you have
conscious. Okay, if consciousness cannot be consciousness.
All right.
Is
Well, this is fun, but I'm not just here for content or clickbaits or crash outs or whatever. So I'm going to try to move on to a real conversation. Consciousness refuse to provide an argument. Now, if I was just like here for content, we could have probably kept that going for quite a while, but not really something I'm interested in. We'll try to see if we can bring somebody else up and have an actual conversation. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right. Hi, Sereno. How old are you?
How's it going, man? I'm 37.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in an all-knowing power, not one by name specifically.
Okay, but it's like the creator of the universe?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
I'm sure you're familiar with this, but I'll give it a shot. The eyeball.
You're just going to say irreducible complexity?
What's that?
You're just going to say irreducible complexity?
I think that has a fair argument. I mean, if I was, but I'd like to hear maybe if you're against that or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I just think it's something that's been so easily and completely refuted by biology that it just doesn't really seem worth time discussing, right? We've seen that eyes developed multiple times over the history of evolution, and there are multiple examples of creatures or beings, life forms, going from a life form with nothing like an eye through all of the stages to having the complexities of an eye. It's something that has evolved multiple times separately, in the same way that like the tree life form is something that has evolved multiple times separately.
True.
It just seems to be a type of organic structure that is beneficial, and all of its stages are beneficial. So that means that they just develop, right? Because all you have to do is you start with a creature that has no eye of any kind, and let's say that maybe it right, or just like a simple multicellular organism is how it's going to have to start. So you start with a simple multicellular organism that doesn't have any way of seeing anything. Then let's say that it gets like a light sensitive spot, like a clump of cells on part of its body that is sensitive to light. Well, that's going to tell it things like, like for example, things that like skitter on the ground. If they have a light sensitive patch of cells on their back, they're going to be able to tell when there's a predator over top of them by when the shadows happen. So that's beneficial. Evolution will select for it,
is that
because the
light
ones that
sensitivity or complete vision?
No, that's just light sensitivity.
Okay, how do they know it's a predator with light sensitivity?
They don't. It's just that if they have that and they respond to the sudden appearance or the sudden disappearance of light, like it suddenly gets darker and they respond by hiding, they're more likely to survive. Now, most of the times when they see that happen, or see, I use really loosely, but most of the times when they experience that, darkening, it's probably not because of a predator. However, they're probably going to survive.
Perceive it as a change in the environment, which could signal like a predator being
right.
around.
And then the ones that are best at responding to that stimulus are the ones that will survive and pass on their genes. Then over time, there will be slight mutations, and maybe there's a descendant eventually that doesn't just have a light sensitive patch of cells. Maybe that light sensitive patch of cells starts to form a cup shape. Well, what happens when there's a cup shape is now you can tell directionality. Right, so they can tell that the light is darkening over there, but it's not darkening over there, and so they know that which direction they need to move. Again, that's going to be beneficial. But you can do that with every single stage of eye development, where every stage provides a benefit to the creature that has it, and it gets passed on to future generations. Future mutations happen. Some of those future mutations add further beneficial features to the developing eye, and then that in turn gets passed on. And again, we've seen this happen multiple times. We've seen it happen with many different structures, not just the eye. So this is just like a normal thing that we see happen in nature, where throughout the process of evolution, where some simple thing that confers a tiny little benefit gets slowly adjusted over time through mutation and natural selection to become a much more complex and much more beneficial feature.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to try and challenge one part of that where you said that there are multiple. The benefits are clear for sure for an organism to perceive its surroundings and perceive threats to continue. I'm just excuse me, the multiple evolutionary changes from light sensitivity to now what we consider the human eye, where with all of its perfections. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out how it comes. If each evolutionary process is for benefit of the species, what would signal a evolutionary process where to form something from just light sensitivity where there is no threat to then going into something that can be hold on, let me
Yeah, there's
slow
nothing
down here.
signaling it. There's nothing guiding it. There's nothing that it makes it
Right.
want to do that. What I'm saying is, let's say that we just start with the light sensitive patch. And then let's say that there are, over the course of several generations, there are different mutations that happen in the subsequent generations from the first being that had the light sensitive patch. In the mutations in the subsequent generations, some of them have a mutation where the light sensitive patch bulges up a bit. Well, that's not beneficial. That's not going to help them, and then therefore it's not going to get passed along and propagate through the species. But let's say that some of them have a mutation where it starts to form an indent. Well, that is going to confer a benefit. So those are the ones that are going to be more likely to reproduce, more likely to have viable offspring, that are going to be more likely to also have a concave light-sensitive patch, which means that they're more likely to survive than their competitors, which means that they're more likely to pass that on. And over time, that concave light-sensitive patch becomes ubiquitous among that species because all the ones that have it are better able to survive and get access to resources than the ones that don't. So then now we have a population that went from only being a population of creatures with a light-sensitive patch to eventually becoming a population of creatures with a concave light-sensitive patch. And then that's going to just happen for each of the stages. It's not some guided thing where the creature wants to have a baby that has the next stage of eye development. It's just going to be that as mutations add slight variations to the proto-eyes, the ones that are detrimental, those creatures die off. The ones that are neutral, those are just going to be the baseline. And the ones that have mutations that are beneficial are the ones that are most likely to reproduce, most likely to pass on that beneficial mutation, and most likely to end up propagating across the entire species with that beneficial mutation.
Okay, beautiful. So that you would share the same sentiment as Darwin. I'm sure you're aware that Darwin made the claim, hey, the eye is the only one that doesn't make sense. So going off of what you said, being very Darwinian and logical and laid out nicely, and it kind of appeals to the logical part of the brain. Like, what would you think of Darwin making that claim after he?
I would think that we've had. I would think that we've had over 150 years of research and evidence collected since Darwin. So I don't really give a fuck what Darwin had to say.
Fair enough. Okay. Do you take mystical interpretations of the reasons why, or do you try and keep it rational and scientific?
I try to keep it logical and rational. I don't like being an unreasonable person, and only unreasonable people believe in mystical stuff.
Fair enough. All right, man. I got to run. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Well, that didn't get us anywhere. I don't know why the fuck I'm supposed to give lessons on biology. I am not a biologist. I'm certainly not some like expert on philosophy either, but I mean, yeah, no, you guys have a point. At least he was cool about it, but like, no, and I'm sure you're right, Zaphod Beeblebrox. I'm sure that was a misquote of Darwin, but it doesn't really matter what Darwin had to say. Yeah, do you take magical explanations? Well, no, no, I don't. Thank you so much, HS, for all the support. Thank you, Atheist Cat. Damn, HS, thank you. Cannabinoid, I love that name. Thank you so much for the support as well. Hold on, let me figure out. Nope, I'm not going to be able to do it. I was going to try to figure out what the Roman numerals are all, but I'm not convinced that they are Roman numerals. Thank you, Hoop Talk. Liz Biz, thank you so much. You fucking rule. Thank you, Slice. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a god. You're going to take a cannabinoid? That sounds dangerous. Oh. There are, well, never mind. We're not going to get into that. All right, we'll move on to the next person.
Hello.
Oh, I did not intend to bring you back up, but I guess since you're here, do you have anything of substance this time?
I do. I just have a question for you. So, are you saying that there's definitively, without question, no God? I'm asking.
I'm saying that I'm confident taking the position that I know that there's no God, in the same way that I would take the position that I know there are no leprechauns. However, in the same way that someone could provide me evidence that would cause me to change my position on leprechauns, if someone provided me sufficient evidence, I would change my position on God.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so you're saying that there's a possibility of a God. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I don't have 100% confidence in anything. I'm a fallibilist about knowledge.
Okay, right. So if I were to say there's gold in there's no gold in Antarctica, could I say that confidently?
I have no idea what evidence there is for that claim, so I don't know.
Right. So you'd say that's a false claim.
No, I would say that I can't evaluate that claim because I'm not familiar with the evidence for and against the claim.
Right. And that's my point with God. Is
okay, well, I am aware of the evidence for and against the claim that God exists, and that's why I'm comfortable taking the knowledge claim that God doesn't exist. So do you have anything of substance? I can't. All right, well, you just telling me what you think I can and can't know, I'm not interested in. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, dirtbag, that's just tone policing. Hi, Aiden, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
I think the way you framed the argument, the title "God Isn't Real, Prove Me Wrong," it kind of sets an impossible standard. It's like saying love isn't real to prove it scientifically.
Well,
it's
no,
like
we can demonstrate the existence of love, and if you're saying that you don't have a reason to believe in God, that's not my problem. That's just you admitting that you're irrational. So do you have a reason to believe in God?
Yeah, there are
okay, so what's the reason to believe in God?
There are plenty of rational arguments.
No, telling me that there are rational arguments doesn't do anything. I'm asking you to provide a reason to believe in God. Yeah, I know, because you're not actually engaging. So what you need to do is provide the reasons to believe in God.
Okay, can you let me do that?
If you start talking and you're not saying something that demonstrates, provides a reason to believe in God, then I'm going to cut you off again.
Okay, that's not a debate.
Okay, do you just want to cry, or do you want to actually provide some reason to believe in God?
Maybe just don't cut me off. How about that?
Yeah, as long as you're on topic, you won't get cut off. So it's up to you. So provide the argument or evidence, or I'm going to drop you. Like, what's the fucking point of this? Nothing?
Okay, God is understood by most religions to exist beyond the physical universe. So wouldn't you expect physical evidence in the same way you'd expect evidence for gravity or a planet?
No, I don't expect physical evidence for God. I have no idea why I would. But talking about what kind of evidence that I would or wouldn't expect is irrelevant. What's the argument or evidence for God?
God exists in a philosophical and metaphysical question, not a scientific one.
I didn't say anything about science. Okay, I'm going to ask the question one more time, and if your response is anything other than a direct answer to the question, I'm just going to move on. What is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Why would I answer a question that sets an impossible...
I mean, if you agree that you can't provide evidence or arguments for God, that's fine. If you think that if there is any argument or evidence for God, then obviously it's not an impossible standard. Pretty simple. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Chalk. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 20.
When were you born?
2006.
We'll see.
2006.
What God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
I want to let you know that a guy named Constantine Chronicles.
Okay. I don't really care about Constantine Chronicles. I just want to hear the argument or the evidence. Okay. I can't let anybody up that's not requesting, so I'm not sure what you want me to do there. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. He was about to give evidence. No, he wasn't about to give evidence. He was about to talk about some other guy that is on TikTok that goes by Constantine Chronicles. It's just a theist on here who does debates. That's it. There's no reason for us to talk about somebody who's not here. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. That tracks, Sloth. I don't know about that, but that tracks.
Hi.
Hi, Ricky. How old are you?
To be honest, I'm 16.
All right. No children. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay, well, apparently that person didn't want to join. All right. What do I do? Maybe a little bit of yapping while we wait for the next person to request? River, exactly. Exactly, River. Kids should not be talking to adults on the internet. That is such a fantastic point. Like, kids, do not talk to adults unless your parents are present. Like, this is like basic shit. Like, you don't know me. What if I'm some creep? Right? Don't talk to me. I'm just some random stranger adult. No. I don't want to talk to children, and you should not, as children, should not want to talk to me. Gross. Philosophy Mog. The philosophy channel would be the best place to talk about that. Yeah, 16 to 18 is a kid. Yeah. Yeah, a 16-year-old is a child. Okay, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God.
Hi, sorry, I just wanted to ask a question. If you aren't debating anybody right now.
Yeah, what's up?
So I'm like, after listening to you, I'm inclined to believe in like an eternal universe. I think like you've made like a pretty like solid argument for it. But like every time I see somebody else talk about it, I hear them bring up the point of like an actual infinite. Like, what is the answer to that? Like,
There's
an eternal universe.
Well, so okay. Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done. So was there more you wanted to add?
No, you're good.
Okay. So typically that's just a claim that's never supported, right? And so there are two basic responses. Number one is just going to be, not only is there not an argument that would demonstrate that there's a problem with an actual infinity existing, they're going to say that they believe that God has infinite knowledge and that God's knowledge actually exists, which means that they don't have a problem with an actual infinity. Also, there are tons and tons of arguments for why an actual infinite past would not be a problem. Like, for example, they're going to want to say, oh, you can't count from 0 to infinity. That's true. It is true that you can't start somewhere and then get to infinity. That is not possible, and there's no argument against that. The problem is that if the past is infinite, it would be the opposite. They would have to argue. They would have to argue that it wouldn't be possible for someone to have been counting forever, to have never started counting, and like counting down, and then get to 0. Like, that is possible. It is possible that there's a guy who's been counting he's counting down one number per day, and then today he got to 0. Like, that's possible. Obviously, he would not have ever started because there's no start to the number line, or like there's no biggest number. But if he was just eternally counting into the past, like every day in the past, the prior day he was at a higher number, that is possible, and then he could get to 0 today. Like, there's no problem with that. They'll tell you that there's a problem with that, but they'll never be able to tell you what the actual problem is. So that's the first response, just that there isn't actually a problem, and they believe in it anyway. So even if they did actually think there was a problem, they would have to get rid of their beliefs about God. Number two, the other issue is that we could have a quote-unquote eternal universe without it being infinite. Now, I know that there are a lot of guys out there doing the in the TikTok debate space, people like Ian, Justin, both of whom I massively, massively respect. I have tons of respect for those guys. However, I do disagree with them that there's reason to think that the universe is infinite. Now, I'm not saying they don't have good reasons for their positions. I'm just saying that I'm not convinced. And so my position is that maybe the past is infinite, but it's also possible that there was a Hartle-Hawking state at the beginning of the universe. I'm not a physicist. You would have to, the best explanation that I know of is that it looks like, you would think about it like the head of a shuttlecock, where there's like the temporal part of the universe starts where my straight hand is, my left hand, and then there's this like non-temporal spatial geometric part of the universe where if you were to go back in time, you would enter it and you would spatially travel around it and then exit back out into the temporal part of the universe, right? So there would be this non-temporal cap on a temporal universe. But if it's a B-theory universe that that just all moments in time exist equally real, all like, not, I don't want to say simultaneously, but they're all equally real, just at different times. Well, it's possible you could have a universe that has Hartle-Hawking caps on both ends of the timeline. So it would be a finite timeline, but it never came into existence. It could have a first moment without ever beginning to exist.
Yeah, because there's no time.
Yeah, because it's like, because time is just kind of like, what's a good way to describe this? It's like, fuck, I can't really think of an analogy, but essentially what it boils down to is just that, like, you can have a universe that has either a first and or last moment without it ever beginning to exist or going out of existence.
I see. That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, these are really, really interesting views. I just don't know enough physics to be comfortable taking a position on it. I know, like, Ian has talked about reading some Sean Carroll that has convinced them about the to be more confident on the big bounce, big crunch model than I am, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But I don't have the evidence to take that kind of position, but I don't think we need to.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for explaining that, and keep doing what you're doing.
All right,
I
thank
enjoy
you.
watching your lives.
I appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good
No
one.
problem. Thank you. You too.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, currently don't have anybody requesting. What the fuck is going? My phone is going crazy over here. What is happening? Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, B-Dot. How old are you?
45.
Cool. And what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I fucking love these things. I'm sorry. I'm so distracted. All right. I apologize. You said you're 45. You believe in Jesus Christ. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
I really don't have an argument. Can I just ask you a question?
If it's relevant.
Where do you think it all started from as far as why you don't believe there is not a God?
Well, I don't think there's any reason to think that there was a start.
Okay, that's understandable.
That's what me and Nick were just talking about. I think that there's some reason to think that the past could be infinite, and there's also reasons to think that maybe there could have been a first moment of time. But on either conception of the history of time, I would say that the universe always existed. Like, I think that the universe exists as like a 4-dimensional block where time, we experience time passing because of the way that our perception works, but I don't think that time actually passes.
Understandable. Can I ask you one more question?
Okay.
So, what do you think happens to us when we die? Can you?
As far as
idea on that?
Yeah, my assumption is that it's exactly like before we were born.
So you saying like we'll return back to who we are?
Well, I would just say we'll stop existing. Like, I didn't exist, then I was born, I began existing, and then when I die, I will no longer exist.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I mean, if that's it, if that's all you wanted to talk about, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a good one.
Thank you too.
Egg theory, is that what it is? JXCO? I don't know what that is. The only kind of egg that I would be thinking about is a totally different thing. That's a good way to put it, Diana. All right. Yeah, currently don't have anybody in the guest queue. I don't know if we do like a reset. Maybe. Damn, you guys fucking rule. Thank you so much. Sebastian, thank you so much. Philo Dragon, love to see you here. Thank you so much for the support. KC, again, thank you so much. Killdozer, that's a fucking awesome name, and the accordion was amazing. Lem, thank you. Oh, Nick, thank you so much. Slice, you guys all fucking rule. Thank you. Liz Biz, that's awesome. But yeah, like I said, currently don't have anybody in the guest queue. Oh, I should probably fix that. You know what? Praise Eunice indeed. Praise Eunice indeed. Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. I'm trying to, like, I don't know, be, like, true to myself and the way that I think about things and the way that I communicate. And I don't know, like, I never expected that people would watch my lives, right? I think a lot about, like, do I need to change anything? But I don't know. People are watching based on the way I do things now, so well, I appreciate that, Kant. No, I have had people mention that they like the fact that I'm no nonsense, and like I just don't have the patience to put up with bullshit. If you want to have the conversation, then we need to just have the conversation. Oh. Well, yeah, I mean that definitely is my goal, is to actually focus on learning things and growing as a person. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing. Would I debate on the line? I have no idea that I would ever be allowed on the line. They probably wouldn't want somebody like me. Okay, so yeah, currently not getting anybody. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a reset here quickly. So we need to probably do one of those. Maybe we can try to have one more conversation before I go. Well, I don't do Bible stuff, Killdozer, because like I'm just not like that interested in I just think I think I want to leave the Bible conversations to the experts who really know about the Bible. Like I'm much more versed in the you know, actual specific arguments about God. No, I agree with you. It makes for good content, but it's not really my goal to just make content. Okay, I am actually going to reset the live. So I'm going to reset. I'll be right back on TikTok in a moment. So I'm going to end the live and I will be right back up. So just give me a moment. I will be back momentarily. Oh, was that there the entire time? That's awesome. Sometimes TikTok Studio is so fucking annoying. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're back on TikTok. Hopefully we can have some more folks come up and have some actual good conversations. That would be nice. Okay. I don't know what to do to get people to subscribe to the YouTube, because that would be nice to be able to do more on YouTube. You are first, Kyle. Good job. That was fun. Oh, that's why my phone's been going off, because people are commenting on my videos. Apparently I need to turn those notifications off. Well, I appreciate that, Nick. We are so back, Luna. You're 100% correct. And thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Okay. I think I need to change my... Oh, yeah, I get that, Luna. I was trying to have a... Well, that's fucking awesome, Luna. I'm so glad that I can help you out through your shifts. That's great. I'm always trying to see if I can squeeze in philosophical conversations while I'm at work, but, you know, it's not always easy. thanks for the shares right away, guys. I mean, I know with the reset, it helps, you know, getting some taps on the screen, you know, get those likes in and some shares to make sure we are in the algorithm. That's it, and coming across people's feeds so that we can get some people in here and hopefully have some good conversations. So obviously the goal is to actually have some, you know, good faith, linear conversations about whether or not there's reason to believe in God. Well, write them. Oh, I was going to say write them down, but if you're at work, you probably can't. Okay. You have the most likes? Damn. Well, that's pretty awesome, Kyle. Maybe someday I'll have as many likes as you. But yeah, I'm looking to talk to folks who are 18 plus, who have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. What are you sorry about, Ricky? I don't know what you're sorry about. Hey, Goat Man. Fucking awesome to see you here. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I haven't gotten to watch a lot of your stuff, but hopefully I'll change that. Oh, yeah. Well, just, you know, I'm not mad at you for being 16, but you probably shouldn't be here. I don't want to talk to children. Get your parents. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Well, that might explain it then, Goat Man. That might explain it.
In John 3:16,
oh my God. Get your parents. Where are your parents? Somebody call that kid's parents. All right. So yeah, like I said, looking to talk to folks who are 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hey, thanks, Poop Man Jones. Fucking love it. CT, what had someone try to run the what? CT, what were you saying? You had someone try to run the what? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. So yeah, hoping that we get some folks who are 18 plus, who are willing to actually come up and have the conversation. That'd be nice. What have I got? Can I yap about something while we wait? I mean, I don't know, CT. Do I ever wear hats? No, I'm not really a hat person. Yeah, Nick, that'd be fucking awesome if I get to 5,000 by the end of the month. I mean, we're at over 4550 right now. That's crazy. Okay, logical realism. That's an interesting one. I read this awesome paper. Okay, I'm going to look it up quick so that I can say the name of the amazing lady that wrote it. Of course it's not going to let me just go where I want to go. Oh shit, I might not have it in my fudge. Did I put it in here? Do you vervigs? Will you vervigs? Yeah, it's like Michaela. No. Damn it. I got it on my phone. Okay, now I gotta find this. It's gonna bug the shit out of me if I don't find it. Library. No. Oh, just tell me her name. Really? Anyway, there's this awesome paper on metaphysical logical realism. I think it's really good. It just kind of basically says that like it shows that if you are committed to reality having a metaphysically. Yeah, I was trying to look up the name of the author though, and my phone won't. Maybe if I pull it up this way. M. It's in the M's. Oh, and of course I don't have it on my phone. Well, that's really frustrating. Anyway, no, I actually I do hold to metaphysical logical realism because I'm a priority monist. So I think that reality has a privileged metaphysical structure, or a metaphysically privileged structure, and so that means that there is one true logic that would best describe reality. Now, am I confident that we know what the best true logic is? No, but I do think that there is a true logic. Have I ever dated anyone? Yes, I have dated. I have dated. Yes, I was married for like a decade, and have had girlfriends since and before. So yes. Anyway, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God.
Hello?
Hi, Ajax. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay, what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Well, if we look at physics, science, 13.8 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang theory, or whatever it's called, and it basically tells you how a meteor crashed and created the Earth, which is really...
What?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, right?
No. No, the Earth has not existed for 13.8 billion years, and the Earth was not created by a meteor crash. So
Million, I meant million.
okay, so the Earth has existed for like 4.8 billion years or something like that. And that has nothing to do with the Big Bang. So these are like completely separate things. So it sounds like you are just mixing up a bunch of physics concepts. Is there any reason to believe in God?
Well, there's miracles like Jesus Christ in Orlando when I went to summer last year. My grandpa had a stroke, heat stroke.
Okay. I don't believe that Jesus Christ was in Orlando. I don't think we were getting anywhere there. And yeah, sounded very young. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Carrie. How old are you?
I'm 27. How are you doing today?
Doing just fine. Is it Carrie or Kari?
Kari.
Okay. I will try to remember that, but I probably won't, and I'll say it wrong, and I apologize.
It's all right. No, it's okay.
And of course, by the time it took me to ask that, I forgot how old you said you are, but we'll move on. What God do you believe in?
Jesus.
Fantastic. Thank you for just answering the question. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Design.
Okay.
I believe that the fact that there's order and design in the universe points to a creator, since we don't have evidence of chaos being the reason of creation.
Well, I think you're baking in a lot of assumptions there. By saying there's design, I think that kind of presumes that there's a designer, and saying that it's a creation presumes that there's a creator. So I think that, like I said, you're just presupposing the answer that you want to get to, and then you're saying, if I presuppose that there's a God and I, analyze the universe from that perspective, then it is consistent with there being a God. Well, of course it will be. So I'm asking, what's the reason to think that a God exists in the first place, not just assume that one does?
Right. Well, first I want to address that presupposing existence is kind of literally everything, since everything when it comes to existence is a characteristic of approval. Second thing is
that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
Well, hold on. Well, give me 1 second to be able to answer. I was dead quiet while you were telling me what you were saying, and I want to be able to have a genuine.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do this meta. I'm just going to point out that the thing that you said was wrong.
Okay, so everything is not technically presupposed. It's
No.
all it's proven fact.
Well, it depends on what you mean by proven and fact, but I mean, there's a big difference between saying we have reason to believe X is true versus I'm assuming that X is true. Those are very different things.
Okay, so then maybe I think the difference between us is that you're viewing it from a metaphysical sense, whereas I'm viewing it from what it should be, which is a more philosophical sense.
What do you mean by metaphysical?
So metaphysical is where it's provable based upon where it is in either physics or reality or what it has to do with science.
Yeah, no, that's not what metaphysics is.
I'm just summarizing.
No, you're not summarizing and you're not paraphrasing. You're just wrong.
Okay, then can you explain what metaphysics are?
Yeah, so metaphysics would be the branch of philosophy that deals with why things are the way that they are, and if they could have been otherwise, how they could have been otherwise, and what that otherwise would look like. Like that's what metaphysics is.
Based on fact and science, right?
No.
What?
No.
You think metaphysical is not based on fact and science?
Correct.
You think
That's
it's
physics.
all-
Yeah,
You
that
think
would be
no,
that would be
I'm
the
not saying that physics
nomological.
aren't-
That would be nomological reality. Metaphysics is supposed to be beyond nomological reality. Science only deals with nomological reality. So yes,
Right, but
and do you know
metaphysics is
where the
based on
term
science.
metaphysics? Do you know where the term metaphysics comes from?
No, I do not.
Okay, so in Aristotle's works, he had, he had lots of different topics that he talked about, right? And he had this whole volume of all these different things that were collected together, and there was a big section of it that was called physics, or the physics, right? And that was all where he was talking about, like, concrete reality, and that's what all the stuff was in his physics. And then there was a big section of stuff that was after physics. Meta is the Greek word for, like, after or beyond, right? So metaphysics was just the section in that volume that was after the section on physics. So it's literally just the stuff after physics was where the term originally came from. And all the stuff that he was talking in there was not physics stuff, but instead different ways physics could have been, different ways the reality could have been. That's what metaphysics is.
Yeah, so that doesn't necessarily negate what I was saying. I think I said with metaphysics or dealing with the reality or the relation of reality and philosophy.
No,
But
you
I
said
think
metaphysics is about science and physics, and that's just wrong.
Well,
So
yeah,
anyway, now that you have
I mean,
at
well,
least
I mean,
somewhat of a
well,
better
well,
understanding of what metaphysics is,
disingenuous.
hopefully you
I'll
won't.
be definitely
I'm not being
explaining away.
disingenuous just by pointing out that you used
no,
a word
but I
wrong
definitely
and then
definitely
argued with me when I pointed out that you used it wrong. So now
No,
that
but
we
I've
have a
been
little bit of a
willing to
better
admit when
understanding of what metaphysics means, what's an argument for God?
Okay, anyways, like I have been very willing to like tell you whenever I'm wrong or I don't know something, so I don't know why you're trying to act
I don't
like
need the
I'm not.
meta
But anyway,
either. So what's the argument for God?
I mean, I've already given you the argument for God. The fact that the universe is, directed towards the designer.
No,
And
all you
there's
did
no
was presuppose God, and then you wanted to talk about how everything's presupposed, so it's okay if you presuppose things, and then we had to talk about how that's not the case. So now that we're getting back to actually the substance of the conversation, instead of fixing your misunderstandings, what I'm asking for is for you to actually provide an argument that doesn't just beg the question.
No, I mean it's supposed to beg the question.
No, it's not
Absolutely.
supposed to
You don't
beg the
have
question. Do you even know what begging the question is?
Begging the question is what you're trying to do is you're trying to like straw man me into like a bunch
Oh,
of
I'm straw
arguments.
manning you by asking you to define the terms that you're using. What does
Oh,
beg
no,
the question mean?
absolutely. First of all, you said begging the question. I didn't say begging the question. So what
You said it's supposed to beg the question. You said it's supposed
Yes,
to.
I agree with you. But you
Okay, so what do you
don't
mean?
lie.
What do you mean when you say an argument is supposed to beg the question?
Of course, because it's a thought-provoking question.
No.
That's the point.
Okay,
Oh,
so you
no,
so you just don't know what beg the question means. That's all.
Philosophy is not thought-provoking.
So no, that just isn't what beg the question means.
Okay, so what does beg the question mean, sir? The one who brought it up.
Yeah, begging the question is when you assume the conclusion inside the premises of the argument. So for example, if you're trying to demonstrate that the universe has a creator, if in the process of arguing to the creator you assume a creator, you've begged the question. It means it's a circular argument. You have only given circular arguments so far. Do you have an argument that's not circular?
I don't think that's a circular argument, so I'll disagree. But because I want to move on and I don't want to just hash out random points that don't mean anything, I'll say that my evidence is Jesus Christ and his life.
And how would that give us reason to believe in God?
Because if anybody rose from the dead, came back to life, lived a perfect life.
So how do you demonstrate that Jesus rose from the dead?
The witnesses.
Oh, fantastic. This is one of my favorite topics. So name me your favorite 20 eyewitnesses of the resurrection and then where I can find their eyewitness testimony.
Name me your favorite 20 eyewitnesses from anybody in history. You can't. So
You just said the evidence for Jesus' resurrection is the eyewitnesses. So if that's the evidence, I want to see the evidence. Who are the eyewitnesses and where can I read their testimony?
You can read their testimony throughout the Bible.
Oh, no, there's no eyewitness testimony in the Bible. So where can I find the eyewitness
Does
testimony?
it not speak about people seeing Jesus?
It tells stories
you
about
okay,
that.
oh, okay,
Yeah, there are stories about it, but there
my bad.
isn't any eyewitness testimony. So where could I read the eyewitness testimony, Kari?
No, you're right. That is on me. I would usually look towards anything written in that area.
Yeah, so just name me your favorite 20 eyewitnesses of the resurrection and where I can find their testimony.
Why is 20 such a specific number for you?
Oh, okay. Well, give me your favorite 10 then.
If I had 9, would that make it any less true? I don't have them. I already
Okay,
told
so
you.
name one eyewitness whose eyewitness testimony I can read.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, any one of the disciples. If you wanted to,
Well, so since all the gospels are written anonymously, they don't have any eyewitness testimony. None of them even claim to be eyewitnesses to anything. So what would be one source where I could read an eyewitness testimony about Jesus' resurrection?
again, the Bible. And so again,
Okay,
what
which
you're trying to do
which
is-
bi- which
well, hold on, hey,
book
hold on.
and
If you wanna
chapter
answer
and
me,
verse
okay,
can I read
you have
eyewitness
to-
testimony?
Hey,
Which
Ogar,
book,
hey,
chapter,
if
and
you- hey,
verse?
Ogar,
Which
Ogar,
book,
Ogar,
chapter,
what-
and verse?
Ogar,
Which book,
I'm
chapter,
not-
and verse?
Ogar, if you want to answer
Which
this
book,
question, you have to
chapter, and
stop.
verse?
Are you done?
Which book, chapter, and verse?
Ogar, you're a grown
Which
man.
book,
I
chapter,
need
and
you to calm
verse?
down. I need you to
Okay, so
calm
I'm going to
down.
ask you one last time to name the book, chapter, and verse where I can read eyewitness
Matthew,
testimony
Mark,
about the
Luke, John,
resurrection.
brother, like,
And if your
I'm trying
response
to
is
have a
anything
genuine-
other than the book, chapter, and verse, then we all know that you've conceded. So what's the book, chapter, and verse?
Ogar, Matthew.
Okay, thanks for the concession. Oh. When they go to eyewitness testimony of the resurrection, you know they have nothing, because no one who actually knows anything about Christianity would ever do that. Why would you ever say that? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. Poopman Jones, thank you so much. I love you. Monkey King, maybe is what that's supposed to be. Fair enough. Fair enough. Maddie, thank you so much. Frames for the Galaxy. God damn, that's so awesome. Huge support like that makes such a big difference to me. And it's that kind of stuff that is allowing me to continue to improve the stream and do more. So thank you so much. Sebastian, thank you. Parker, that guitar fucking rules. Thank you. Lem, IDK some. I don't know what that means, but fair enough. Carlos, thank you so much. And Chris as well. I appreciate you all. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God.
Yo, hello?
Hi, Lamar. How old are you?
I'm 19.
When were you born?
February 16th, 2007.
Ooh, I'll give you this one. What God do you believe in?
The Christian God, Jesus Christ.
Okay. Well, I'm liking you a lot so far, Lamar. Let's keep this going. What's the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
The best evidence, I think it was an argument that I heard. It was like the Kalam, like cosmological like argument. The premise of the argument was that whatever begins to exist has a cause, and like in the argument, there was like modern like aerophysicists who confirms that like space and time and matter have a defined beginning, roughly, I believe 13.8 billion years ago, at the Big Bang, right? And before the event and the physical matter and time, nothing existed, correct?
Well, so I don't think that that's actually what science tells us. Now, I agree with you that as far as we know, the Big Bang, started, the expansion of the universe started about 13.8 billion years ago. But I think that it's a misconception to say that that was the beginning of the universe. In fact, a survey was done, I think it came out in May of this year, that asked a bunch of cosmologists and physicists what we should know about what we should think about the Big Bang, or what the Big Bang tells us. And what the answer that they got back, now this survey was, they got almost 1,700 respondents to this particular question. And what the people who responded said is that what the Big Bang is a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot, dense state, that says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So and you'll notice the difference between the amount of people who responded to in that way than the rest of them, right? So almost 70% of the cosmologists and physicists who responded to this question said that it doesn't tell us whether there was a beginning. So because I'm not a physicist, I'm going to guess that you're not either at 19 years old.
No.
I don't think that either of us has the ability to say more than those physicists what the Big Bang is. And so it seems like we should take that the current state of science, or the current understanding in science, is that we don't have a reason to think the Big Bang was the beginning. So I don't think that we can use that to support the beginning of the universe. But it sounds like, like you said, the Kalam, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Universe began to exist, so the universe has a cause. I don't know here's what I'll ask Lamar. Let's imagine that we agree that there's a cause for the universe. I don't personally think that there is, but let's imagine that there was. How would we get to God from there?
How will we get from God, the Christian God, correct?
Well, just any God. Let's just imagine that the universe does have a cause. Why should that make us believe in a God?
I mean, for me, it's always that, that the idea of where you go after you die, because obviously we don't know where we go when we die, right?
So it sounds like we're talking about something completely different than the universe having a cause now.
Oh, well.
I mean, if you want to move on to something else, I guess we can, but I'm just asking if I grant that the universe has a cause, how would we get to God from there?
I mean, because the Bible, it was stated, God did create the heavens and the earth, correct?
Yeah, sure, but I have I have the book of Eunice, right? That tells us that in fact, Eunice, the universe farting unicorn, once ate a particularly spicy hypotenuse, and when she farted, it created our universe, right? So I have it written down here, and even says that the stories about Eunice are true, right? So, like, as far as I can tell, if you have a book that says that your God did it, and I have a bunch of stuff written down that says Eunice did it, how do I tell which one's right?
I mean, that's a good question. You could tell by, obviously by the scriptures,
Yeah, I just read you the scriptures. They said that Eunice did it.
But obviously that the God that you believe in, which is Eunice, correct?
Well, I don't call her a god, but she is the creator of the universe.
So your creator, right? Eunice, Eunice wouldn't. Well, technically, Eunice would be your god, correct?
No, she is just the cause of the universe. She ate a spicy hypotenuse and farted out the universe. And that's how the Big Bang started 13.8 billion years ago. And I have it written down. I showed you. It's written down. There's lots of stories there. I've got more stories in my Discord, right, about how great Eunice is, even about Gary, the reasonably powerful goat.
So, I mean, if she's a creator and she created you, wouldn't that make her your god? That's what I'm saying.
No, my mom created me, and I don't think she's a god. She's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's a god. Hey, Polymagic sharing Gary, the reasonably powerful goat. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see why we should just trust what's written down. Right now, obviously, as I'm sure you figured out, I don't actually believe in Eunice, but I think that it's a really good illustration that if all we're going to do is just insert our favorite story, we can insert whatever story we want. So if we want to actually know what's true, we should be looking for more than just somebody wrote down the claim one time.
So, I mean, like, how do you explain, like, obviously we know with the Big Bang, right, it created planets, correct?
Well, no, gravity created planets.
Yeah. But, like, how did the atoms, how did they come together, right?
Well, let's imagine that I don't know, Lamar. Let's imagine that I have no idea how planets were created, how atoms work, anything about physics or cosmology or any of it. Let's imagine I don't have any answers. Why would we believe in a God?
Well, I mean, there's witnesses to the God's death. I mean, there's
Name one of them, and where I can read their eyewitness testimony. Because I don't think that there are any. I think that's just another story that you've read. Just like the story about Eunice. Because I've also got a story about how 3,000,001 people saw Eunice reveal herself on top of a mountain. 3,000,001 people. That's a lot of people. Way more than the 500 that supposedly saw Jesus after he resurrected. So do you think that just because my story has a bigger number of people, that makes it true?
Well, I mean, obviously not, correct?
Yeah, I agree. Just having a story that says something happened isn't enough reason to believe it. Now, if the story was something mundane, like if you told me a story about how you ate a ham and cheese sandwich yesterday, I would just believe you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to ask you for a receipt. I'm just going to take your word that you ate a ham and cheese sandwich yesterday. If you told me that your friend got a new video game, I'm just going to believe you. You know what I mean? That's enough. I know that's the kind of thing that happens. I would take you making that claim as evidence. When I see one of my friends on Facebook who I know rides motorcycles all the time and he posts about going on a motorcycle ride, I believe him. I'll take his word for it. I'll take him writing it as evidence that it really happened. But when it comes to really big claims, like a guy rose from the dead after being dead for 3 days, I need a little bit more than a Facebook post or somebody writing it in a book.
So I have a question, right? Like, how do you think we got here?
Evolution. I mean, I got here because of my mom. She got here because of her mom. I mean, really, it's moms all the way down, if you think about it.
So when you say evolution, are you talking about us evolving from fish butt sex?
Is that really where you want to go, Lamar? We've been having such a good conversation.
No, I mean, that's how they describe it, right?
That's how you describe it? I've never heard a biologist describe it that way. I mean, if I don't know enough about fish sex. I guess I'll be honest with you. I haven't spent a lot of time researching how fish have sex. I guess if fish have sex in the butt, then sure, why not? I don't really know if that's how that works. I'm not too concerned about how, fish copulation works. That's not really something that I'm into. Maybe you are. I don't know. I don't want to hear about it if you are.
Actually, I think this was a good debate. I actually have to finish a lot of homework.
All right. Well, you go work on your homework, Lamar. Thank you for the conversation. I appreciate that you're being honest. And now I'm, I was a little bit wary about that guy's age, but at the end saying, well, I got to go do homework, that makes me really concerned. But I guess it's summer, so maybe he's like in summer semester of a college. Fingers crossed. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, well, I hope college goes well for you. All right, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I'm totally putting in my notes for that one, fish butt sex. That is a new one on me. I have not heard that one. Oh, I don't think he sounded that young, Don. I could believe 19 from his voice. Hey! That's fucking awesome, Casey. Thank you. Okay. Females lay eggs, males fertilize them. Yeah, that could very well be. Anyway, we'll move on to the next person. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Dr. Zuba. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 30 years.
Okay. And do you have any relation to the guy who made Zubas, the pants? Because those are awesome.
Yeah, you're saying there's no God, right?
Yeah, which God do you believe in?
You're saying there's no God. I want to ask a question.
Yeah, just first, which God do you believe in?
Can you hear me?
I can. Which God do you believe in?
I believe in Christ.
Fantastic. What's your question?
Yeah, do you dream?
Not often, but sometimes.
Okay, sometimes you dream. You are in the room, but then you find yourself somewhere, but you're in the room, right?
Yeah, I'm not actually in the place where my dream is. It makes it seem like I am. I'm still laying in my bed, right, or wherever I'm sleeping.
Yeah. You're still lying in your bed, but you're some person. You still find yourself in a different place.
No, I don't find myself in a different place. I'm just having a phenomenological experience of potentially being in other places, but that doesn't mean that I actually find myself in another place.
So that's what I mean. You still see like a being in a different realm. So let me say a different realm. You're in a different realm.
No.
But your body's in the room.
No. I don't think that my consciousness is in a different realm when I'm dreaming.
You don't think, but you don't find yourself in a different place too.
No, I don't think that I go
So
to.
how do you
I do
describe
not
your
think.
dream?
Yeah, it's just brain processes, right? It's just my brain running through images. That's all. I have no reason to
You
think that
know,
there's
actually,
anything
the
more
Bible
to it.
says there is no God.
I don't really care what the Bible says.
Do you
Is
know the
there
Bible
any
says there is
argument
no
or
God?
evidence for God?
I'm saying, do you know?
I don't
the
really
Bible
care
says
what
there
the
is no
Bible.
God?
Dr. Zuba, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I want you to listen to the next thing I say, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I do not care what the Bible says. So now that we both know that I don't care what the Bible says, what would be the best argument or evidence that would give me a reason to believe in God?
You say there's no God.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to tell you that the Bible affirms it.
I don't care what the Bible says. We've already been over this. So what's the best argument or evidence for God?
How do you come to this world?
I'll ask one more time. If you don't respond with any argument or evidence, I'm just going to move on. What would you say is the best argument or evidence for God?
Okay. The mic you are using now, you are speaking to, does it have a creator?
Okay. Fair enough. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. You're on deck, Chester. Unless Proud American 2025 doesn't connect. Okay, well, I guess we're not going to get to talk to Proud American 2025. Hi, Chester. How old are you?
Hey, man, I'm 45.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in God, the God of gods.
Yeah, I need you to give me an unambiguous answer so that when you're done answering, I actually know what God you believe in. What God do you believe in?
God. So
okay, I'm going to ask one more time. I'll ask one more time. If you don't give a direct, unambiguous answer, I'm just going to move to the next person. What God do you believe in?
The one that you spell G-O-D with a capital.
Okay. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, but Chester, you couldn't even tell me what God you believe in. Yeah, I assume Wes is right that he meant Zeus. Apparently we're not going to get to talk to Scuba Steve here. All right. Once again, if you're in the guest queue or joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Thor's stronger than Zeus. There was a movie with Zeus? CT, I have no idea what you're talking about. But considering I have Scandinavian roots, I'll take that Thor's stronger. Marvel movie. Was there Zeus in a Marvel movie? I don't fucking know. I'm Mike. How old are you?
I'm 18. How you doing?
I'm all right. What God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
All right. So the same rules apply, right? Like you don't want to hear scriptures, right?
Yeah, I just want an actual argument or evidence, please.
All right. That's all right. So I just have one question. Like, have you ever read the Bible?
So what's the best argument or evidence?
What's the best that he's real?
Yeah, what's the best argument or evidence that God exists?
We can talk about the scientists.
Just give the argument or evidence. We don't need to talk about it. Just give it.
Oh, God is real.
Okay, God is not real. Now what?
Can you prove to me that he's not real?
Okay. So
actually,
you believe
can
in
you bring up the unicorn story?
you believe in the Christian God, and I assume that you think that God is all good, all knowing, all powerful, right?
I will say so.
Okay, fantastic. So, you know what? I asked this before, and I was told to go premise by premise, so we're going to go premise by premise. So premise one of my argument is that God has a mind. Do you agree?
I will say so.
Fantastic. Do you agree that minds either have changing mental states or only one unchanging mental state?
By influence, yes.
And do you agree that change only occurs in time?
I wouldn't say so, no. I mean, people evolve.
Well, I think that change can only happen in time. And the reason that I think that is that a change involves something going from one state of existence to a subsequent state of existence. And so what that means is if there's a progression of existence from one state to another, that means there's a past moment and a future moment. But a past moment and a future moment is time. So as far as I can tell, change can only happen in time.
Okay, so you're saying that means...
Well, I'm just going through the argument here, premise by premise, instead of, you know, just like overwhelming you with the whole thing all at once. But so far we've got God has a mind. We've got minds have either changing mental states or only one unchanging mental state. We've got that change only occurs in time. And then because God is the creator of the universe and outside of the universe, and time is a feature of the universe, we would agree that God is outside of time, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so what that means, because change only happens in time and God's outside of time, that means that God's mental states cannot change. And so the only option to have a mind with mental states that don't change is that he has only one unchanging mental state. From there, we're going to really get into the problem here, which is that acting upon one's will changes one's mental state. So like for me, after I get done here, I have some things that I plan to do, right? I'm going to go watch a sitcom that I like to relax with. So right now I have the intention after the stream, I'm going to go watch that sitcom. But while I'm doing it, my mental state will change to I am watching the sitcom that I like. And then after I finish and I decide it's time to go to bed or whatever, then I will have the mental state I have completed my intention to watch that sitcom. Right? So my mental state has to change in order for me to act on my will, right?
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, since we know that God's mental states can't change and acting on your will requires your mental states to change, that means God cannot act on his will. The problem then becomes that if God can't act on his will, he can't create the universe, since obviously creation is an act of will. But if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, by the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
Rerun all of that. Well, not all of it, but the last part you said. Just want to hear it again.
From where?
Where you said, just repeat what you just said just now.
Okay.
It's kind of over.
Yeah, sure. So I was talking about acting on your will changes your mental states. Since God's mental states can't change, he can't act on his will. Since he can't act on his will, he can't create the universe because creation is an act of will. But if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, God does not exist.
So, how did God create the universe if he doesn't have an active will?
Yeah, right. He didn't. And that's why we know that he can't exist. Because if he does exist, he created the universe. Since it wouldn't be possible for him to create the universe, he can't possibly exist.
So when you say act on your will, you mean step in and do something or create?
Yeah, he can't do anything. He can't take actions.
How do you... Well, why would you say that, though? Because...
I already explained it. Because taking an action, acting on your will, requires mental states to change. If you only ever have one mental state, your mental state can't change from I intend to do X to I have done X. But that's required in order to act on your will. You have to have the will to do X, and then you have to act on that will. Those are two different mental states. But God's mental state cannot change. So acting on his will is a thing that God is incapable of doing. He is logically barred from that action.
He's all one. He created all. I mean...
That's not responsive to anything I've said.
I mean, how could you respond to something like that?
Okay.
Like,
I mean, if you agree that you don't have a counter argument, I'll take it.
I have a. I mean, I could have a counter argument, but
okay, fantastic. What's the response to this argument? What's the counter to this argument?
Well, I would say God does have an active will.
Okay, so explain how God can act on his will while he is outside of time and his mental state cannot change.
I can say how he has acted on his will.
Yeah, explain how it's possible for God to act on his will while he's outside time and his mental states cannot change.
Well, I could say I read a couple of stories, how he came to dreams.
Yeah, you read stories, but how did you confirm that those stories were true?
It's multiple, and they all sound the same.
Oh, they all sound the same. Well, you know what? I've read a whole lot of Batman comic books when I was younger, right? I read a lot of Batman comic books, and a lot of them, they all described Batman the same. It was all consistent, the kinds of things that he would do. So does that mean Batman's real?
But that's Batman.
Yeah.
We all know it's fictional.
Right,
So,
and we all know that God is fictional, so the stories about God being consistent doesn't help. Well, we all know it's fictional.
To you, he could be fictional.
No,
But
he is.
There's a lot of people who have stories of him revealing himself in dreams, and there's
Yeah,
scientists who
fantastic.
even-
And I even have a story about Eunice being the one who created the universe. So do you think that just because I have a story, does that mean that the things that happen in the story are true?
Well, I would assume that you were the creator of that story, right?
That isn't an answer to the question.
Well, I'm asking, are you the creator of the story?
That's not an answer to the question.
So I don't think your story's real.
Okay, so you're saying that, in fact, just something being written down doesn't make it true, right?
I didn't say that at all. I just think
Does being written down make something true, make a story true?
I think something that is written down with evidence behind it is real. Yes.
Oh, yeah, with the evidence behind it. Fantastic. What's the evidence that my argument for God against God
Like I
doesn't
said,
work?
There's scientists and there's
Okay.
museums.
Well, I'm going to give you one last opportunity. What is your response to the argument that I gave?
About the unicorn story.
No, about God not being able to create the universe and therefore not existing.
He has created the universe. You're here.
Okay, so you're just not going to respond? Fair enough. I'll move on. All right. Where are we at? All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. All right. All right. If you are... Oh, I already said all that stuff. I have a terrible memory.
Yo, hello.
Hi, Zane. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
The Trinity. Can you give me a minute? I gotta plug in my headphones right now.
All right.
Alright, I'm back. Hello?
Yeah, you're a lot quieter now, but hopefully it'll be okay. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
I would just say it's going to be a miracle.
I don't know what that means. What are you saying?
Yes, a miracle. A miracle.
Yeah, I know what a miracle is, but just saying the word miracle doesn't give me an argument or evidence for God.
Oh, you want the case of the miracle?
I want the argument or evidence for God. If I have to ask again, I'm just moving on.
Sorry, I would just take a miracle to be, something on episode.
I know what a miracle is.
I know. I'm giving
Okay, so genuinely, this is the last opportunity. Either the next thing you say is presenting an argument or evidence for God, or I'm moving on.
Yeah, I'll just take the later Zaytun and the apparition that was made. It hasn't been debunked since, and we can epistemically say that I'm justified in believing that that's just going to be an apparition made from God. Can you debunk it or disprove me? Go ahead.
You need to provide justification to believe that that actually happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, my justification would just be rational sense according to the Bible and then miracles that have been presented.
No, what is the justification for this miracle specifically?
That it hasn't been debunked, so that's just epistemology.
Okay, well, can you demonstrate that the universe wasn't farted by Eunice, the universe farting unicorn?
Yeah, for sure. We could just say that the universe is just going to be something.
No, debunk that Eunice farted it out.
Yeah, we could just say that Eunice is... Wait, can you present what Eunice is? So I could just debunk it real quick.
It's an artist rendition of Eunice, the universe farting unicorn. So what is the debunk of her being the farter of the universe?
For sure, we could just say that if we're just saying that the universe is going to be something that's going to be within the...
If you say going to be one more time, I'm dropping you.
What's wrong with my rhetoric, bro?
I fucking hate rhetoric, and if you're here for rhetoric, get the fuck out. So give me the debunk of Eunice farting out the universe without using any of this Phil Bro jargony bullshit rhetoric.
Well, I don't think I have enough epistemology to...
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Notice how just saying you can't debunk. Yeah. What a ridiculous standard. Well, I get to believe it. I get to believe it. You can't make me stop believing it. Good times. Oh, you're 100% correct. I do not have patience. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Miracles are real because you can't debunk them. Oh, I should put it in the way he said it. Are going to be real because you can't debunk them. Wow. What a great argument. I actually like the fish butt sex argument better, if I'm honest. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would justify belief in a God. 100% River. 100%. Hi, VTX. How old are you?
Hello, sir. How you doing? They say I'm 30.
Fair enough. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the conscious living God.
I don't know what that means. I need an unambiguous answer, please.
The one that presents life.
Okay. I'll ask one more time. If I don't get a clear, unambiguous, direct answer, I'm just going to move on. What God do you believe in?
I'm assuming what you're referring to is the
Okay,
Christian.
fair enough. I didn't ask you what you think I'm referring to. I asked what God you believe in. Okay? It's not that tough. If you don't know what God you believe in, then I certainly don't know what God you believe in. Hi, Big B. How old are you?
56.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
See, everybody, it is possible. Thanks for being a positive example for your Christian brethren.
You're welcome.
What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Trees.
Don't bring my friend Tree into this.
Well, of course I'm going to bring the tree into it. I mean, in my belief,
she's not even here.
The tree. God created us.
Okay, what's the evidence that God created anything?
Well, God created us in his image.
What's the evidence that God created
also
anything?
Created the tree in
What's the
our
evidence
image.
that God
Think about
created anything?
the evidence? It's in the tree.
Okay.
Does the
So what
tree
I'm
die and
okay,
come back?
Big B. What I'm asking you to do isn't just repeat that you think trees are evidence of God. What I'm asking you to do is explain to me how it is the case that trees are evidence for God.
Because it's living. It dies and it comes back.
Okay, so I'm asking you to explain the
Jesus
inference that
died
gets
and
us
come
from
back.
trees. I'm asking you to explain the inference that gets us from trees to God. If you can't answer this question directly with some, line of inferential reasoning, then I'm just going to have to move on.
Okay, I'm answering your question. Jesus died and came back. He died and
Okay,
he
that doesn't give us any connection between trees and God. So, like I said, just moving on. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. That may be the case, Dwight. That may be the case. Hi, Storm Rain. How old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's a trilogy. There's three. They're all one.
I think you mean Trinity, but that's fine. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
Well, I have three, and I'll prove a couple of yours.
Well, we can only talk about one at a time, so what's the first one?
The first is the alignment of how everything is, our universe, first of all. How if 1/10 of the Earth is 0.3 degrees off, everything wouldn't even be here right now.
What's the evidence for that?
You mentioned
What's the evidence for that?
It's science.
Yes. What's the source?
The source is statistics.
Yeah.
From
Yeah. Where
NASA.
can I read about that?
From NASA.
Yeah. What paper
From
should I look
NASA.
up? Yep. What's the name of the paper?
Okay, no, we're gonna keep moving on.
Nope, we're
The
not going to
second
keep moving on. We're going to talk about this until you present either you're going to present the evidence to support your claim, or you're going to retract the claim.
Okay, I got you. I'm not retracting it.
Okay, so what's the evidence?
Do you agree with me that the
So what's the
universe-
evidence?
NASA.
So, yeah, give me the name of the
NASA
peer-reviewed
gives
paper.
evidence.
Give me the name of the
listen,
peer-reviewed
listen,
paper
let
that
me
supports your
finish.
claim.
Let me finish.
So
Let me
here's what's
finish
going to
my
happen.
claim, and
Here's
then
what's
you
going to
can
happen,
answer me.
Storm. Here's what's going to happen. The next thing you say, either the next thing you say is going to be the name of the peer-reviewed paper that demonstrates that your claim is correct, or the next thing you say is going to be a retraction of that claim, or if it's anything other than those two things, I'm just going to drop you and move on.
Okay, well, can I just move on to my second claim?
If you're retracting that claim, yes.
So I can't.
Are
say
you retracting
anything
that claim
I
or
can't
not?
prove. I guess if I can't prove it myself, if I can't use statistics.
So are you
that-
retracting the claim or not?
I guess so. I'll retract the claim. because I
Okay,
don't wanna get kicked
fantastic.
from
So
this.
what's the next claim that would give us, what
Okay,
is the
the
next
next-
argument
the
or
next-
evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
I got you. So the next, you talked about there was nothing that's ever been proven about God, right? You said we can't prove that God's real or anything in the Bible was real. Everything in the Bible has never been proven wrong.
That
It's
is
actually been
irrelevant.
proven
What's the
right.
evidence for
We
God?
found architectural proof by scientists, by architects. We found architects from the Bible, stories from the Bible. We found those.
You know that there are the Empire State Building is in Spider-Man comics, right? And I know that the Empire State Building actually exists. So does that mean that Spider-Man is real?
That doesn't even make sense.
Does the fact that this Empire State Building exists both in Spider-Man stories
Yeah,
and
but
in
when
reality
this-
mean
when
that's
this scripture was-
okay? So
when
here's
this
I'm asking a
scripture
question,
was
Storm.
written 100,000
Storm.
when
I'm
this
asking a
scripture was
question
written
again.
4,000 years
I'm
ago.
asking you a question,
finish
and if
up?
you can't, no, you cannot, because you're trying to
Listen,
run
when this
away.
scripture-
You're trying to
I'm
run away with the
answering you.
problem
This
from the
scripture
problem
was
in your
written-
argument.
this scripture was
So now
written
here's what's going to
4,000
happen.
years ago.
Whether you stop talking or not, I'm just going to ask you the question, and then you're either going to give a direct answer or I'm going to drop you because you can't handle it. Okay,
But you can't
so
interrupt me.
does the fact that the Empire State Building exists both in Spider-Man stories and in reality mean that Spider-Man is real?
No.
Okay, fantastic. So you and I both agree that just because a story has real buildings and real architecture in it doesn't mean that the story's true, correct?
Exactly.
Oh, fantastic. So obviously finding architecture that was referred to in the Bible has nothing to do with whether the stories in the Bible are true. So what would be some evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
Okay, Spider-Man was created after.
So what is some evidence to believe in God?
Spider-Man? I'm telling you.
Okay, I'm going to
man,
ask you one more
Spider-Man was
time. What is the
created-
argument or
Can I talk?
evidence that we should give us a reason to believe in God?
Okay, I'm naming it. There's architectural proof. There's the.
Okay, we already discussed that. I'm not going to run in circles with you. Oh my God. Hey, thank you, Kimchi. It's fucking awesome. Oh, you guys are the best. Thank you so much, Kimchi, for the support. Thank you. What is this? Oh, Ken Vorlin, thank you so much. Awesome to see you here. Thank you, Ken, for all of the support. Thank you. Bertram, thank you so much. Lem, Wit, awesome to see you here and get the support. Casey, Oppo, what is this? Judy, it won't tell me. Monkey King, thank you so much. Asian, I really appreciate it. God, this thing is so annoying sometimes. Judy Stroyer, thank you so much. Oh, that's a no. Blocked. Oh my God, I cannot believe that I was just forced to say that against my will. We absolutely denounce anti-Semitism here. Fuck that. Oh, I wish that I would have realized that's what it was before I read it. Oh my God. Thank you for the support, M, Chris, Carlos, DJ, Parker, Sebastian, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah, that fuck was blocked. Thank you, Bertram. Oof. I feel fucking horrible just for reading that. I can't imagine somebody putting that as their fucking username. God, that's fucking gross. All right. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and has some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Fitman. How old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I think the best evidence is the fine-tuning of the universe and Earth.
Okay, do you want to present an argument? Otherwise, I'd be happy to present an argument against fine-tuning, or at least against the idea that fine-tuning is evidence for God.
I can present my argument. I would say the evidence behind it would be everything that we see and that we observe on a daily basis. Everything that.
Why should it give us reason to believe in God, though?
Well, can I finish?
No, because I don't want you to describe what you think is fine-tuned. I just want you to tell me why it would give us a reason to believe in God.
That's what I was trying to do.
Okay, then just answer that question.
That's the question I was answering.
Okay, do you want to talk about it, or do you just want to give the answer?
Well, I was going to give the answer because you asked.
Okay, but now you're just talking about it, so give the answer. Why should we believe? Why should fine-tuning or the appearance of fine-tuning make us believe in God?
Because it says that there is a creator, there's some type of mind that put it together.
No, that's just asserting the claim. I'm asking you to provide justification for that claim. Why would the appearance of fine-tuning point to a creator?
Because you need someone to create something in order for it to be fine-tuned.
I mean, that's your assertion. How did you confirm that it was fine-tuned and that there's a creator?
Because scientists proves that it's been fine-tuned.
What scientists prove that it was fine-tuned, and where can I read the research?
Well,
I can't hear you if you're off the app.
I said I don't know exactly where you can actually read it.
Yeah, so what is the name of the scientist and the name of the paper that demonstrates that the universe is fine-tuned?
Well, is it not? Are you saying it's not?
I don't have any reason to think that the universe is fine-tuned. It doesn't sound like you have a reason to believe it either. You just believe it because you believe it, it sounds like.
Well, do you think gravity changes on a day-to-day basis?
That has nothing to do with whether the universe is fine-tuned. If the universe is fine-tuned,
it would change.
No, that's an assertion. Provide a justification for that claim.
The justification is that gravity doesn't change.
Yeah, why would we think that it would change if there wasn't a God? Why would we think
10 pounds is going to be 10 pounds?
What's the justification for the claim that we should think that it would change if there wasn't a God?
Because there has to be an intelligent mind to place.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to be justifying. Just making the claim again isn't justification.
Justification is what we observe.
No. The justification is going to be the inference from what we observe to the thing that you're trying to justify. So you need to say the reason that gravity being constant demonstrates that the universe was created is, and then you need to give me what that reason is.
So you want to know the reason why it's fine-tuned?
No, I want to know the reason why the appearance of fine-tuning or the apparent uniformity of the laws of nature points to a creator. I don't see the connection, so I need you to spell it out for me.
Why it points to a creator? Oh, because nothing can be anything that's fine-tuned to a certain degree has to have a creator.
Okay, so how do we know that the universe was fine-tuned? We're just running in a circle now.
How do we know the universe is fine-tuned? Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here.
That's you're just asserting the claim. So I'm going to ask you one more time. If you can't give me anything informative that actually moves the conversation forward, then I'm going to move on. So what is the reason to think that the universe is fine-tuned?
Because what weighs 10 pounds today weighs 10 pounds tomorrow.
Okay. All you want to do, I can see why your name is Fitman Ran. It's because you like running in circles. Unfortunate. I'm still reeling from reading that username. I feel fucking horrible for reading that. Genuinely. This is going to bug me forever. God, that pisses me off. Anyway, where are we at? We're at like almost 2.5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and call the live there, I think. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. for all the support. Bertram, Asian, Monkey King, Ken Vorland, Kimchi, everybody, thank you so much for the support. I sincerely do appreciate it. Looks like we got to almost to 4,600 followers tonight, so that's fucking awesome. Oh, that's a really good question, Daniel. Before I end, though, I always like to point out that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So we don't know how many opportunities you're going to have to let your family and friends know how much they mean to you. So please do not miss those opportunities. Holy shit. Oh, you know who everybody should... Oh, is he not live? Did I just miss it? Oh, you know who everybody should go watch? Look for Be Easy. It's a B-Easy. Everybody go watch Be Easy, all right? Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all.